Hi, I'm DMAid and welcome to this side quest. Okay, today I'm going to be talking about this bad boy. This is against the Slavelords. Now, this specifically is the 2013 edition, and it includes a special additional adventure, A0. We'll come to that in a minute, but this is what today is going to be about. Okay, so this is a collection of classic AD&D modules which can be easily converted through for 5th edition, 2024 edition of D&D. In fact, any version of D&D or OSR you want. So let's talk about this. Right. Against the Slavelords 2013 edition, it's a full-scale escalation, basically, of danger, mystery, and old-school D&D grit. The 2013 edition, it just doesn't just reprint this classic set of modules, but it actually expands upon them, it sharpens them, and gives them a brand new opening strike with A0, as I mentioned a moment ago, Danger at Dark Shelf Quarry. That's a prequel that sets the tone for everything that follows. Now, this is where this story truly begins. Strange disappearances, whispers of nighttime activity in a seemingly ordinary quarry, workers who don't come home, a town on edge. A0 drops your party into a creeping mystery that slowly reveals the first cracks of the Slavelords campaign. It's the spark that lights the fuse. The moments the heroes realize something bigger, something darker is actually moving behind the surface. So, if you're going to play this campaign, stop right now, switch this video off, and don't listen to it anymore. If you want a bit more information about this, well, let's crack on. I can give you a moment or two now to just crack out if you don't want to hear the rest, but here we go. Okay, right. I'm guessing you want to hear now. So I'm not going to go into huge amounts of detail because I wouldn't want to spoil the full module, but there's going to be a few spoilers to say the least actually in here. Starts off with A0, and once that ends, the campaign just doesn't continue. It absolutely erupts. The classic modules, they are classic as well. A1 to A4, they unfold basically like a rising drumbeat as far as I'm concerned. A1 throws you into the ruined Undercity, where every step feels like it could be your last. A2 shifts into it's a really intense infiltration mission, pushing your party through to basically thinking smarter, moving quieter, and trying to stay one step ahead of a fortress absolutely packed full of enemies. A3, well, that's an explosive volcanic showdown, and that's where the Slavelords' power becomes absolutely terrifyingly real to the players. And then, once they thought they've had it all, A4 hits with one of the boldest openings in AD&D history. Captured, stripped of everything, and forced to claw your way back from nothing. Now, a couple of other modules that have done this, but this is the original, and as far as I'm concerned, it does it the best. Now, the 2013 edition that I just showed you on screen there, which is available for print off from DriveThruRPG, pulls this all together with a cinematic flow that the originals never actually had. A0 becomes the perfect on-ramp, giving the campaign a slow burn before the actual firestorm itself. The added lore, the expanded transitions, the clearer maps, the polished layout, they all work together in basically 4 tournament modules, which they were, and it escalates into a unified narrative that really feels like a full campaign arc rather than a series of disconnected challenges. Back in the day when I purchased the original A series, and this was back in the 80s, I was grabbed first of all by the artwork. That's the first thing that kind of hit you with these D&D modules. But the storyline in them really, really did sort of appeal. And I would sort of say next to the G1 to 3 modules, which is against the Giants, this is the one that I really enjoyed running the most as a series back in the day. Quite a few of the others, they didn't really sort of connect, but certainly A1 to 4, they really pulled it together. And Yeah, they were what were called basically, I suppose, tournament modules. So they were originally played as part of a TSR tournament, and the players entered the tournament with the characters, and they got points. The point systems are still all in there. That can be looked at, but I've always run it not as a tournament, but actually as a campaign. So, what's going on? That's the big one. The slave lords themselves actually feel more alive in this edition and more organized and more ruthless and more present from the basic original A0 quarry through to the volcanic fortress in A3. The shadow and the power kind of stretches across every encounter. You feel them tightening the grip almost on the players, and you feel the stakes actually sort of rising. And by the time A4 begins, you can understand exactly why they're feared and why you're trying to take them down and why it actually matters. The campaign tests basically everything that the players can actually sort of have. There's resourcefulness, teamwork, creativity, endurance. It's all there. It's not about overpowering enemies. It's about actually outthinking them. And this is where this set of scenarios really comes into their own. Surviving them, turning impossible situations into quite bluntly legendary victories. And when you finally do confront the slave lords themselves after everything they put you through, it feels earned in a way that only old school D&D can actually deliver. Against the Slave Lords in the 2013 edition, it's a celebration of classic adventure design, rebuilt with the modern clarity and a stronger narrative. And it really does sort of give it a true beginning and a proper end. Everything in between is a gauntlet of danger, atmosphere, iconic moments, and that's what defines D&D at its best. Now, as I sort of said, it's quite easy to actually transfer across. If you've got Monster Manual and the Dungeon Master's Guide from 2014 or 5th edition, then you can pick it up and you can easily run with it. It doesn't take much to actually do. There are online guides as well on how to do it, but to be quite blunt, it's a fantastic opportunity for a new or quite recent Dungeon Master to actually take a look and work out how to use the system and pull it forward and use these classic modules and deliver something that's actually really powerful. That's the bottom line with it. So if you want a campaign that starts with a whisper, basically ends with a huge war cry, well, this is the one. This is the Slavelords saga in its most complete, most polished, and most explosive form. I can't recommend it enough. There's lots in here. I'm just going to sort of show you a few little bits and pieces just to give you a bit of an idea. So artwork wise, there's loads of maps in there. Again, I'm not going to really sort of spend time on the maps. There's some new creatures. Now, the creatures that are actually in here, there's guidelines in the Monster Manual on how to actually sort of use them and convert them forward. There's descriptions galore as to the various locations, and the artwork is absolutely pure classic original D&D, and I just absolutely love it. So there you go. There's a few of the classic monsters there that appear in the module, and you won't find quite a few of these actually in the new Monster Manual. These are all very much geared to this adventure, and that's what kind of makes it special. It's just so different from what you would actually normally come across in a modern module. As I said, the artwork, etc., I do love it. It's got that feel to it that it's just there you go. I know what that is, but it's just again a classic monster is that. I've run this module or this set of modules now, must be, gosh, well, lots of times. And it must be close to 7 or 8 times now across the board. And every time the parties come up with something different, they've tackled it. they've not all been successful in bringing the Slavelords down. This is a classic Greyhawk module, by the way. So again, if you're actually sort of wanting to run an adventure in the Greyhawk setting, then again, this is just perfect for it. Character levels, well, it's geared for, or it comes across as about 4+. But with the introduction of module A0, it does expand it out, and you can start off with first level characters. That is for 1 to 3. The others go up quite heavily in value, really, and it tops up at about level 9, level 10 at the end of it. Although, to be quite blunt, there you go. It says 4 to 7 there, but I found that level 9 characters, if you're playing with a group of 4 or maybe 5, then you do need them to have a bit more power and a bit more oomph at the end, because otherwise they will struggle. If you're playing with a larger group of 6 to 7 characters, well, yeah, okay, 4 to 7 is the basic limit, with 1 to 3 for your starter adventure. It's good to add some other filling adventures in there, which you can pull out of just about any other D&D book if you actually want just between to get those levels up. Or if you wanted, you could actually sort of or set it so the characters actually increase in level at certain points in the game. It's your call, it's your adventure. But yeah, it's truly epic as the against Slavelords, and one of my all-time favorites. So I'd certainly recommend it. It's easy to convert, as said, and I'd give it a solid 7.5 out of 10, which is not a bad ranking at all in the grand scheme of things. As I said, for myself, the only one that beats it is module G1 to 3, with D1 to 2 added on, which was basically the giants followed by the descents to fight the drow when they first appeared. So I'll look at that in a separate video. This is just about the Slavelords one. So anyway, there you go. It is available. Look it up online. You can get print copies of it. If you want the originals, you can get copies of those as well from Drive-Thru RPG, and definitely worth a look. So there we go. That's my kind of pocket review, the side quest for today. Enjoy, and I'll see you all again soon. Thank you for listening, and if you want to get involved, please do. Click like, click subscribe. See you soon. Bye-bye.